No, right.
Yeah.
Mentally. But nature.
True.
Remember, we always try to fight nature.
We do.
We always try to fight nature. Nature has the clock.
Yeah.
Chronologically, yeah, sure, we could have all the time in the world. You know what I'm saying? But nature has a clock.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And I mean,
and I'm not here to say, you know, because we have free will. We have free will.
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want. I'm not here to say you have to do this. I just want everyone to know this is the nature of reality. This is what it is. You must make the decisions you make knowing what the consequences will be in the future.
And like you said, 38 and wanting kids.
You feel me?
That's why, like, I think you really need to, like, learn about yourself. And then when you date, be serious.
Be serious.
And don't compromise
Be
morals,
serious.
values, ethics.
Be serious.
And take your time. Don't rush it. Because you don't want to, like, end up marrying the guy from college. I'm trying to, like...
And then break up with him.
And then get divorced. And now you're screwed with 2 cars, kids, and a mortgage.
Yeah.
And it was the wrong person. But you thought, oh, my God, all my friends are getting married right now. I've got to get married.
And then dating, I've realized, is more difficult for single moms. Because if you have a kid, then you're automatically disqualified from a certain
bracket of
men that you're looking at.
So, or even if you do get into the dating, they don't really take it as serious.
Yeah, it's more just to sleep with you and then move on to the next, more than to date you and then see us being together long term. Not saying it doesn't happen.
It
does.
Like these things happen. Like that's like that happens. But like
it's more difficult.
Yeah. It's harder to navigate because her priority is going to be her children.
Oh, absolutely.
At the end of the day.
Any mother's priority.
So So you expecting a normal like he's working harder now.
Yeah, well, he's got to realize. I mean, like, it's a lot of pressure, and you got to step up to the plate.
Know what you're getting into.
Yeah, because you are potentially stepping into being their father figure, and that's a biggie.
That's a big.
Well, the first thing too is you don't want to introduce children to a man that you know might not stay.
Exactly.
So that's another factor.
And then to go back onto your point about how like easily accessible dating apps are, I feel like it's starting to make people disposable because we can swipe.
Very.
And we're like, oh, no.
Very.
Oh, no. And I think that's where we've lost the
it's gross,
it's
man.
There's a lot of disrespect.
Goblin activity.
This bleeds into my next question. What do you feel is better or would be better for people your age? Would it be cold approaching like they used to or the dating apps?
It's so hard because
people just need to touch Greg.
Cold approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go the fuck outside, please. The sun's right there. You know the sun provides vitamin D. That's good for your skin, your immune system.
That's a good vitamin D.
Everything, your hair,
That's the good D.
nature.
That's the good D, bro.
You know what's out there? Fairies, the pretty ladies. They outside.
The
bro.
birds and the bees.
And like
they outside.
They always say the worst thing a person can say is no, and then you move.
Right,
on
you ain't gonna die if they say no.
It's a good question. That's a good point you make because we are so fearful of rejection, and I think that's because we live in such a narcissistic society, and that leads. I blame that on the rise of social media and technology.
Me.
And how
look at me.
Can
I'm
edit
Mr.
things,
Meeseeks.
and then we have like internet
brain.
No, like influencers.
Okay.
Like nothing's as real as it
brain rot.
seems.
Yeah. Brain rot.
It is brain rot.
Yeah, it's just brain rot.
And I
brain
think
rot. Everyone's just living in a fantasy where it's like
they want to be like everybody.
Every guy wants to, date an Instagram model.
Right. OF model, Instagram model.
They're not real. They're not.
These aren't real people. They're like surgeryed up. They're like filtered up.
Exactly.
They're everythinged up.
Everything is not what it actually.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of, you know what I'm saying? Right.
But and that's why my brother and I will have these conversations sometimes in the sense of like we'll see like sometimes we'll read these comments on these videos and they'll be like they'll spit game, but then you see them in real life and it's like they don't even know how to talk to somebody.
It's because they're behind a screen.
Exactly. It's
Right.
easy to
It's
be
easy.
whoever you want.
And that's like where I think we've run into the issue with technology is because we don't know how to like socialize.
Right.
We know how to socialize behind a screen.
Exactly.
And it kind of goes to like those keyboard warriors and all that stuff. Like it's so easy to say those things when you're behind a screen, but
Of
when
course.
you're in person,
Right.
oh, you would not have the guts.
Of course.
And what
At
I think
all.
is just a projection of internet fantasies.
Exactly.
Like, and that clashes with actual real life. You see what I'm saying? Like, and that works for men and women. Like, we have these fantasies that we see online of like these
Gooners.
cookie cutter stories. These edited vlogs
They'll
of
show
this
you what they
perfect
want you to
couple.
see.
Right.
and everything
And
is
then
not what it
that
seems.
is the expectation. So a relationship is never work.
No.
It's never hard.
Yeah.
It's always easy. He always gets me. He always does everything right.
Because they're
we
always-
never fight.
because
We
they're-
never have a
Yeah, yeah,
disagreement.
yeah, yeah,
a
bullshit.
point of
If
contention.
you're a couple that doesn't fight, that's a red.
That's a red fucking flag.
Yeah.
A relationship is not supposed to be perfect. A marriage is not supposed to be
No,
perfect.
it's hard work.
If you ask somebody who's been married for like 50 something years, 60 something years, like how, like what's the secret? And it's like they'll say odd things like it's because we fought.
We fought.
It's
We've gone
because-
through our shit.
Because-
we've gone through things together.
Right.
And I think that's another thing going back to, you got to make sure you pick the right person.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there was like this TikTok I saw of this girl, like she asked her mom, like, when did you know our dad was the right one for you? And she was like, I thought about what if my mother dies? Who would be there for me? Would he be there for me? I thought about like, oh, what if I get cancer? Would he be there for me? We lose a child. Would he be there for me?
Gotcha.
And she's like,
Right.
yes, yes, yes. So it's like, think about like if you ask yourselves those questions and you're questioning
Then
him,
it's not you.
It's not it.
It's
no.
not it.
Because
If it gives you cause for pause.
But that's
Yeah.
the
Unsolved.
difficulty
Right,
in today's society, especially with young men. It's like most of the things that people in like
it's instant gratification.
it
It's
is.
fucked.
So it's
It's
like
fucked.
most of the things that
Man.
most of the things or duties that men
fucked.
would do today, they no
Right.
longer are doing it.
Right.
But it's like, as you can see it, it's always
Right.
the blame game. It's her fault. It's his fault.
Right.
It's his fault. It's her
we all
fault.
want
And
to
it-
point fingers.
Right.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest issue. But nobody's looking at themselves.
No.
They're always trying to blame somebody else. If something
Yeah.
happens to
Nobody
them,
wants to take full responsibility
Yeah.
to actually work on themselves.
oh yeah, for sure.
At first I was like, when I went through my first breakup, I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's all him. And then when I was going through it in therapy and I was trying to actively see from his point of view why he made the decision to not be with me,
Mhm.
that's where I was like, oh, okay, now there were some things I could have done differently.
So you're self-aware.
Yes, and I learned how to be self-aware, and I don't think
There you
people
go.
are self-aware.
It's spooky. It's rare. It's rare. It's rare. I always tell him the way I describe it to people.
And I mean, in the moment, am I self-aware?
Right.
Sometimes I'm not.
No,
Sometimes I'm
right.
not,
It's
but,
not
like,
an active thing. But
when I reflect on things, then I'm like, oh, that, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
keep that in my
Yeah.
brain.
Yep.
There were 2 points that came to my mind. One is like, okay, the father figure dynamic.
Gotcha.
Because like they set the example of their sons,
Mm-hmm.
and the sons have the choice of whether or not they want to find that to be acceptable or
Unacceptable.
unacceptable, and they want to change those things. The second thing is, I mean, I went to Alabama, so everybody thinks sorority girls. Everybody thinks blonde hair,
Alabama.
fake tan, skinny sorority girls.
Okay. I feel you.
Yeah,
feel
and
you.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, dating, going there was very difficult because a lot of my friends. I mean, I had friends who were blonde, but a good bit of them were like redheads or brunettes.
Mm.
Like, there weren't a lot of like, and we found that it was very hard for us to be the rare breed on campus of being the brunette. And I was like talking about it with my therapist. I was like, yeah, I really wish that like I was the girl that, was picked like the blondes. And I was like, why is it that like guys always like go for that? And she said that guys usually go for something that is familiar and common in their environment. And that's something you see. You see a lot of blondes. You see a lot of like the copy and paste.
Yeah.
So it's easily accessible. So they're able to find it and they're able to attain it easily. And then also, if they see that's what their friends are dating, they're gonna date the same as well.
I got you.
And so that was the issue.
So it's like a circle.
Yes, and that was the issue I ran into. And my therapist was like, "It's not that they don't want to date you; it's because it's not common." And I was like, "Damn."
I hope you didn't go blonde after that.
I did not. And
Oh,
funny enough, my
thank
mother's
God.
a natural blonde.
Thank
And I did not get
God.
that gene. I showed you a picture of my mom before.
Yeah.
I'm like the exact opposite of my mother. I look just like my dad. But yeah, I would tell my mom like, yeah, I hate being a brunette because no guy like wants to pick me. And she's like, I hate being a blonde because every guy thinks I'm stupid.
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay, so
dead.
we're both in the trenches together
I'm
in
dead.
a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you were blonde, you think he would have stayed?